Now with that down, it'll actually be helpful as the snow starts coming down, so we pre-salted. Um, I would like to remind folks, before Andy gets into the specifics, to please give our plow drivers some grace. With an event like this where it comes down hard, we do the main roads, and we continue to do the main roads to keep them clear as the snow keeps coming down, and as it stops, we get into the neighborhoods. Should we have to declare a snow emergency, and Andy's going to get into that, we have 3 levels under our ordinance, but should we declare, then our drivers can be on as much as 18 hours at a time. So they would be on 18 hours and they would be off 6. So certainly they're doing as much as they can, as hard of work as they can. But you know, if it snows tonight and it snows again on Saturday, they'll be continually going, and they'll be tired. So you know, if something gets missed, we always encourage folks to put it into Lansing Connect or call 311. Let us know. Check out the plow map online, because your street may not have been plowed yet, but it might be something that we will get to. Because today is Wednesday and the snow will start coming down, when we plow into the neighborhoods, we follow the trash routes. So very likely any neighborhood plowing tomorrow, if we get to it tomorrow, if it stops tonight and we start neighborhood plowing tomorrow, we will start on the south side because it's the end of the week and this is when trash is picked up. And then we'll make our way to the north side. So, you know, if folks are not happy that they haven't been plowed yet, we follow the trash routes. And we get that all the time. We have 400 miles of road in the city of Lansing, and we will do our very best to get it, but it could take a few days. And then again, if it starts snowing again on Saturday, we have to leave the neighborhoods and go back to the main roads to make sure that Cedar and Pennsylvania and MLK and Michigan, Saginaw, and Oakland, all the main roads are continue to be clear. But again, we ask everybody, please take it easy, drive slow, understand the conditions, and do your best. So, Andy?
Yeah. I think as the mayor said, this is kind of a typical storm. We haven't really had many of these this season, or none of these this season. But 6 inches is something we can handle. We will be starting to get out there even in advance, as was mentioned, to kind of pre-treat these streets so that when we have the snow coming down, and hopefully we're not going to have icing and rain that may have, you know, more in southeast Michigan. But we'll focus on our major streets. We will hit those hard today, overnight, and right now it looks like the snow should taper off between 3 to maybe 6, and we hope to be able to get into our neighborhood streets by around noon tomorrow. And so if we hit the major streets hard tonight, we are not going to be sort of getting into bus routes, hills, and everything else, because we know we're going to have a full citywide plow, and then it'll take us hopefully a day-ish, and hopefully everything will be clear before we get our next snow on Saturday. As far as the snow emergency, regardless of snow emergency, when the snow starts coming down, if you don't have to park on the street, don't park on the street. What happens if you're parked on the street and we come through and try and plow? We'll go around your vehicle, but we're not going to come back to plow around the snow that's left. So if you want a clean street, get off the street. That also is safer for you and other drivers to have no one on the street, so you don't have to worry about your car maybe being slid into, or you know, when you're driving around, those obstacles. So regardless of snow emergency declaration, don't park in the street until we've come through and plowed your street. The mayor mentioned it's going to take us a while. Our drivers get tired, our vehicles get tired. We have things that break when it's cold out, hydraulic hoses that go, and blades that have to be replaced. So we'll have our mechanics in overnight too throughout this event. But drivers, if you're out there for hours and hours, our drivers or your drivers, you get tired. So take it easy. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. So you know, hopefully people have their toilet paper and bread and milk and all the things that they think they have to have on these events, but you should be able to get around on the major streets tomorrow sometime. It's going to be a little dicey this afternoon because we can't clear all of our miles of roads as soon as it starts snowing, so it'll take us hours. We'll be concentrating on our main roads first. New state law, 200 feet back from a snowplow when it's out there, but you know, give everyone some space. You're not going to stop just because you have four-wheel drive. Doesn't mean you have 8 wheels that can brake, so you can get yourself into more trouble maybe with four-wheel drive. Thinking you're fine. That's really it. Again, this is not something that's unique to our area. We do get snow. It's not, you know, like New Orleans or the Panhandle of Florida that got their snow a couple weeks ago. Sidewalks ordinance is 24 hours after the snow stops, you need to have your sidewalk cleared. That's important for people that have to use or want to use those sidewalks. We have folks that call in and say, well, I can't clear my sidewalk. Well, for the folks that need to use those sidewalks, they need to have them cleared, because we do not want them walking in the road where there are cars that, may be a little slippery. So hopefully, since it is getting into the weekend, then you'll have the opportunity there, but unfortunately, you're probably gonna have to clear it twice. And we will be taking sidewalk complaints on a sort of, complaint basis is what we do. We don't walk around or drive around trying to look for these, but if we get complaints, we will go and address those, kind of post on the property, give people 24 hours, we'll come back and recheck, and then we will pass it along to crews to take care of those sidewalks for you. We don't want to do that. It's expensive for us, and it's going to be expensive for the property owner who, has to pay that bill. So kind of do yourself a favor and your neighbors a favor and clear those sidewalks. Help our plow drivers out by giving extra space, not going out if you don't have to, and if you really want to, you can help clear this street a little bit and so we know where the curbs are when we come down, so we can make sure we get all the way to the curbs. I don't know.
Yeah, and we got a document which I think Scott gave to everyone, which explains snow emergencies. If it does come down that hard and that fast, 6 inches in a few hours, there's a good chance that we could declare a level 2 snow emergency, where people would have to get off the streets. That way we can plow the streets. So you've got that information. This is all listed in ordinance. Snow emergency is called by the public service director, and we're prepped for that should it be necessary. And then again, the ordinance on sidewalk removal, that is something that is in city ordinance, and we will enforce that as we're supposed to. The following, not too close behind plow trucks. Our police are ready as needed. We'd rather not have to ticket people being on the street when they shouldn't be. This is not about trying to ticket people or really go after people. This is about getting cars off the street so we can clear the streets. This is not punitive. This is making sure that the streets can be cleared. So we're ready. We have kind of set the table, and now we're waiting for Mother Nature to see what she does. Questions?
Really quick, Mayor Schor, you talked about the importance of giving these plow drivers grace. Can you elaborate on that? Obviously, a lot of people are frustrated when their roads aren't, or their streets aren't plowed. Can you elaborate on that or address some of those frustrations?
Yeah, we only have so many plow crews. We actually have people that agree to plow for us in situations like this as well. So we try and have as many as we can on as possible. With 400 miles of road, you got to start somewhere, and when we start where the garbage trucks are going to be going down, to make sure. We also do bus routes and main routes, but you got to start somewhere and you have to end somewhere. Nobody likes to be last, but it takes time. In terms of the plow drivers, again, we have normal shifts. Just like trash and recycling, we have normal shifts. But in an emergency, we put folks on 18 hours at a time. I mean, imagine one person driving 18 hours of a truck, clearing streets, focusing, going home and sleeping for 6 hours and coming back and doing it again. So that we can get it all cleared as fast as possible, we have people that are coming in on 18-hour shifts, and they're tired. I would rather have them on less shifts or less hours, but then we wouldn't get it done as fast. So people want it done pretty quickly so they can get out, and that's legitimate. So we will do our best to get it done quickly. But again, if a plow driver misses a street, or certainly getting the cars off the street is even more important, because as they go around, we don't want any situations where a side mirror is nicked or something like that. So if people can follow the emergency if it's necessary, or just get their cars off the street, our drivers will be great. You all came by and saw our new plows a few months ago. So we have these new plows where it gets under and it gets the sides, front, and then a wing that juts out. So we can do a lot more with these new plows, and then we have trucks that follow that scoop it up onto the curb. So we can do this pretty efficiently. With the new equipment that we have and that we're providing to our drivers, we can do this very efficiently. But again, 400 miles of road, it takes some time.
And then can you talk about 25 plow trucks? How many are you guys estimating to be out there tomorrow?
we'll probably wrap up.
Yeah, typically we'll have about 16 of them out at one time. Yeah. So during the when they're doing the major streets, we'll probably have everybody we have out there. So we'll be at that 25 number. Anybody we have that we have a truck for. But once we hit locals, people are timing out like the mayor stated. And so at that point, we're limited to typically about 16.
And one final question, are you declaring a level 1 snow emergency for tomorrow?
We have not declared anything yet.
Okay.
And so really the distinction is that the first two prohibit parking downtown from 2 to 6. And then we would kind of, the level 1 is just kind of the bus routes and select streets around the city. Probably the level 2 is basically everything other than downtown is prohibited until we stop the snow emergency, which is really until it's plowed. And then level 3 is no parking anywhere. I think as long as the crews are able to get downtown overnight, then probably the level 2 makes sense. And then just as we've stated, whether there's a snow emergency or not, if you don't park in the street, don't park in the street, and then we can clear it, safer for everyone. But we'll get into that probably closer to maybe noon when we see how this storm is going to play out, and issue that in plenty of time so when people come home from work, they know whether they can park, overnight or not. And then we'll kind of rescind that as soon as we're through those local streets.
Yeah, it's not snowing yet, so we're not going to declare
Just
anything.
let us know.
We
will.
You will know.
We'll know.
You will know. You all track social media, and we send out releases. You'll know.
I just had a question about the salt supply. How's it looking? How's it compared from years past and after the storm? What do you guys kind of anticipate?
We're good on salt. Last year, we didn't use enough, so with our minimum amount, our piles were full. And we still have sufficient. Thing that people may not know is we also supply salt to the contractor that does downtown and our parking structures and our city facilities. And in the past, they've actually been using about half the salt we've been going through. So we're providing it not just to the city, but other entities, Lansing School District as one. But we have salt in place, enough for this. We actually ordered, and I think we had an order just come in for another 1,000 tons. So we should be good. Back-to-back storms, we'll see. But in general, all these are plowing events to start. So we're not using the salt to melt everything. If we were getting an inch or two, yes, more salt on the major streets. And going into the local streets with salt is a little bit of an anomaly. Usually what we do is just plow those. But because of the cold temps we had, anything that melted froze again. Just plowing that wouldn't have done anything. We were like scraping ice. So we went in and salted those to try and break it up. But I think we're good on salt. It's more going to be the drivers and the equipment.
If you need any for your salt shaker, we can get you some. Also.
What is that doing for the budget? The extra, I'm assuming overtime, salt, we've had some mild winters previous years.
So with the budget, we've actually been lucky. With the money we get for major and local streets is basically state gas and weight tax. And if we don't use it, it goes back into that fund and can be used for future years or more projects. So we're actually doing more road projects this coming year because that balance has been building up and it doesn't make sense to have it just sit there. So we're able to put that towards more road projects. Hopefully this year is looking to be typical, maybe still a little bit below as far as salt use goes. So we'll see once we get, I was thinking maybe around this time, but it's probably gonna be like March, and we'll see what the weather looks like going forward. But we should be in decent shape, and I think we're looking in the future of sort of changing our budgeting because our past, at least several years, have not been what I would call typical when we budgeted. And if that's the trend that continues, we will probably reduce our winter maintenance budget a little bit and put that towards summer, road projects.
Yeah, what Andy didn't say to start with is it all comes from the same fund. We get Act 51 money, and that goes towards potholes, paving, storm-related, plowing. So that all goes towards the same. So it's you got one pot. And again, in years when it doesn't snow as much, we do more potholes and paving. If we had this every week and we had to do 5 full city plows, we'd have less money for potholes and paving. So it's kind of one fund. We start July 1. Our budget is July 1 to June 30. The state's is October to October, so we navigate the overlap in the budgets. But it's a zero-sum game. We get X amount of dollars, and whatever the winter doesn't eat up, we can put into the summer. So we will have the budget to do it. But when you're back here in 6 months and you say, how come you're doing less potholes? And if the answer is, well, it's because we had more full city plows, or plowing and then we, that's where, you know, the equation lies. I get this question a lot from folks, so how come we're not doing, you know, more full city plows, and how come we only go into the neighborhoods over 3 inches? And the answer is because we have a limited pot of money. We get compared to other smaller cities all the time, and again, we have 400 miles of roads, whereas other communities have a lot less. But that's, you know, we're a legacy city with older roads that we have to fix. We certainly would love to put a lot more money into redoing roads, but we're not gonna be lax on snow removal, so one depends on the other. Other questions? I think we hit it. We're good.
The sign on Jeremiah's door says Director of Potholes Paving and Plowing.
Really? Oh,
Got Max's phone number. too.
Yeah.
Pothole Paving and Plowing. The 3 Ps.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's really funny.
I mean, on our website.